It is Monday evening, November 10th, and I was just thinking as I started to record this, the reality, as opposed to the diary, which is, I guess, the same thing, the reality of a micro budget filmmaker. I was thinking this past Saturday, 4 weeks ago, we were filming a big full day of shooting at the main house. And this past Saturday, I was filming the local high school's musical production of Shrek. So the reality of a micro budget filmmaker is that he does whatever needs to be doing. I've done that for like 15 years back when our kids were, well, even before they were in high school, but I think it's been 15 years and I've been doing the plays and some DVDs and Blu-rays back in the day. And now it's a few DVDs and some MP4s on USB drives. But until I make my first million, I'll probably still do that, and it's fun anyways. But the point is, last night, after a weekend of a lot of, it was editing, but it was a lot of sound. I wouldn't say sound mixing. I'm just trying to fill in some obvious gaps. And in fact, I went out to the main house Saturday and I recorded some sounds of a car coming and going. Then I turned off the engine, did some doors opening and closing, did some feet walking, just homemade Foley. And then I put it in and it's not too bad. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know that it'll be in the final product, but so I did that Saturday, and then Sunday I worked on just a lot of little things, mostly sound things, just adjusting some cuts. That was pretty much it. I'm still trying to do some removal of the boom mic in one particular scene, and I've kind of got it. I'm using DaVinci Resolve, as you know, and it froze several times. I don't know if I'm using proxy, so I wouldn't think it's like overloading the GPU, but it crashed a few times. Nothing irreparable, but it was sort of annoying. So anyways, I did that, worked most of the afternoon on it, and then in the evening, because I had told Reese and Brett I was going to try to send them a super rough cut of the whole assembled the movie. And when I don't think I've mentioned this, or did I? Friday night, I think it was Friday night when I assembled it for the first time, I basically had it on all its individual timelines. I think I showed you that. And then I made a master timeline, and I thought I could just like nest, and I don't know, I couldn't figure it out. So I just copied and pasted. I went back to the first timeline, copy and pasted everything over into the master, blah, 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 went all the way through. And as I did, I was watching the total time and I was getting super nervous because what I thought was maybe the first act, which I think is still considered the first act, I originally had it about 24 pages, and I think it was barely 20. And then there's a couple little montages as different things happen, so I could pad those or take away from that. And I got up to what is sort of the main montage where a lot of time passes, and I had about a 2-minute and 40-second version of it. And then I realized I'd left off a lot of the shots that really, they didn't just add pretty images, but they told the story of what was going on just in visuals, which is what movies are sort of about. So I worked on that, I extended that, and I'm sure it's not at the length it's going to be. But before I did that, I was putting it together, 2 minutes here, 4 minutes here, whatever. And I was getting super nervous because I'm like, is this going to be a 71-minute movie, without credits, or is it going to be an 82-minute movie? Because I really wanted it. It was written at sort of 97, but really about 94. Because some of the dialogue was like, it could be this or it could be that, whatever. So when I got done with it Friday night, it was, I think, 87 minutes, 88 minutes. And then I realized there were a couple of things I needed to add for sure. and then I lengthened out the montage. So Sunday night, last night, when I put it together to send it to him, it was about 91 minutes, 91 and a half, which I'm happy with. I mean, it might be a minute shorter. I don't know that it'll be any longer. Maybe it will be, because there's a couple transitions we might add as some time passes. Anyways, so I watched the whole thing. I stopped it just twice because I found some glitches I had to fix. And then I re-exported it. And I did so at like 1/4 resolution. So instead of 6144 by 2560, it was like 1566 by 640 or something, because I didn't want a huge file to upload to send to them. So I watched it back, and this is the first time I've seen it beginning to end, again with a couple stops. And when I first started it, I was like, what's really going to happen as I watch this? And, you know, the sound, when you don't listen to it on headphones, when you listen to it through speakers, was pretty decent. The picture has not been color graded or anything, and so it's still really washed out, because that's what B-raw footage looks like. So after you get used to that, the fact that it's just very flat and no contrast, you know, you sort of get used to it, and your eyes are like, okay, whatever, it's going to get better. So apart from all the technical stuff, how is the movie? I have to say, and as I wrote to them when I wrote them an email and I explained all this stuff and kind of disclaimers, obviously I'm ultra biased, having spent almost 3 years on the project by now, from writing, pre-production, production, and a month of editing. But as I told them to wrap up the email, I think we have a hit on our hands. And of course, I say that with all modesty. What is a hit? I don't know. But the point is that I do feel good about it. And some of the things I was worried about, like transitions, there's a few continuity things that aren't that big of a deal. I don't think they take you out of the story. Hopefully not. And of course, I know the story intimately well, so I don't know that everyone will follow it, but I can't imagine they won't. It does happen pretty fast, which is why I think some transitions might be helpful, just to kind of give it a little slow down pacing. But overall, yeah, I'm happy with it. So that made me go to sleep happy last night. Woke up happy, which I normally do anyways. So I'm just going to wait. I don't know if it'll be a day or 2 or 3 or 4 when they get the time to watch it. And it'll be very interesting to see what they think. I gave them like 9 things, kind of like, you know, if you see this, don't worry, and blah, blah, blah. There's a couple shots that I have to do some compositing on that I'm a little nervous about, because I put some markers on the wall, and one of them like blends into one of the people's hair, because she like moves in front of it. And so that's going to be kind of challenging. So I'm already thinking of ways that I can remedy that. But, oh, and well, it's not even worth mentioning. So that's where it stands. Now I will rest and work on this, editing this High School Musical, which is mostly just syncing up the sound. So yeah, it was definitely surreal-ish watching it. And yeah, that's all I'll say for now. Stay tuned. One of these days I will actually tell you, whoops, I didn't stop it. Sorry. One of these days I'll actually tell you more about the movie, but you already may know, because you may have already seen the Zoom table read, in which case you'll know most of the movie, but some things have changed. Dun, dun, dun. See ya.